Welcome back to my channel. I'm Karina, Living Lean Success, and we're going to continue with our airframe study guide. I think we're part 15 by now, so without further ado, communication and navigation systems. Question: what is the primary purpose of an autopilot? Answer: to relieve the pilot of control of the aircraft during long periods of flight. Question: which of the following provides manual maneuverability of the aircraft while the autopilot is engaged? Answer: flight controller. Question: in an autopilot, which signal nullifies the input signal to the ailerons? Answer: follow-up signal. Question: in which control element of an autopilot system is an attitude indicator? Answer: sensing. Question: what is the operating principle of the sensing device used in an autopilot system? Answer: the relative motion between a gyro and its supporting system. Question: what will occur if an aircraft attitude is changed by its autopilot system in order to correct for an error and the involved control surfaces are returned to streamline by the time the aircraft has reached its correct position? Answer: normal operation. This is a trick question. They're going to try to throw overshoot and oscillation, undershoot and oscillation, but your answer is normal operation. Note: a displacement follow-up in an autopilot system develops a signal proportional to the amount of error sensed. It stops the control surface movement as soon as sufficient displacement has been reached. If the left wing drops, the gyro senses an error and sends a signal to the aileron servo that moves the left aileron down. When the aileron moves an amount proportional to the amount of the wing has dropped, the follow-up system generates a signal equal in amplitude but opposite in polarity to the error signal and cancels it out, or cancels it. The left wing is still down and the aileron is deflected. Since the signals have canceled, the autopilot does not, repeat, does not call for any more aileron deflection. As the aerodynamic forces bring the wing back to level, the flight attitude and error signal opposite to the one that started the action is produced. This signal is gradually canceled as it's riding, the difference gets smaller and smaller. By the time the wing comes level, the aileron is in streamlined position and there is no overshooting or oscillation. Question: what component of an autopilot system applies torque to the control surfaces of an aircraft? Answer: servo. You want to apply force to a surface, you have to actuate a servo. Question: what is the main purpose of a servo in an autopilot system? Answer: move the control surface as commanded. Question: which channel of an autopilot detects changes in pitch attitude of an aircraft? Answer: elevator. Question: the elevator channel of an autopilot controls the aircraft about which axis of rotation? Answer: lateral. This is a trick question. They're going to throw in longitudinal, roll, but your answer is lateral. Question: which component is the sensing device in an electromechanical autopilot system? Answer: gyro. Gyro senses the movement of an aircraft about its axes, which is pitch, roll, and yaw. Question: a fully integrated autopilot controls the aircraft around how many axes? Axes? Axes. That one. Answer is 3. Question. Dutch roll, a combination of yawing and rolling oscillation that affects many swept wing aircraft, is counteracted with, answer, a yaw damper system. Question. When operationally checking an autopilot system on the ground, after the aircraft's main power has been switched on, the autopilot should engage, answer, only after the gyros come up to speed and the amplifier warms up. Question. Installed radio equipment is protected from damage due to jolts and vibration by, answer, shock mounts. Question. True or false? Number 1. Use solder to attach bonding jumpers on radio equipment. Number 2. Radio equipment is bonded to the aircraft in order to provide a low impedance ground and to minimize radio interference from static electrical charges. Answer. Only number 2 is true. Number 1 is false. This is what it should say. AC 4313-2 Alpha 2A recommends that you avoid the use of solder when attaching bonding jumpers. Clamps and screws are preferred. Question. When must the radio station license be displayed in an aircraft equipped with a two-way radio? Answer. When the aircraft is operated outside of the U.S. Question. When would a U.S. resident not, I repeat, not be required to hold a FCC, Federal Communication Commission, restricted radio telephone operator permit to operate two-way aircraft VHF radio equipment, very high frequency radio equipment? Answer. When flying or communicating with the United States. This book is from 2020, so if anything's changed, please don't come for me. Question. Part of the ADF, Automatic Direction Finder system, used on an aircraft includes, answer, sense and loop antennae. Anyway, question. When installing coaxial cable, it should be secured firmly along its entire length. Answer, at 2 feet intervals. Question. When must the ELT, emergency locator transmitter battery, be replaced other than reading the replacement date? Answer. When the transmitter has been in use for more than 1 consistent hour. So note, according to 14 CFR 91.207, the batteries of an ELT must be replaced or recharged by the date marked on the outside of the transmitter, when the transmitter has been in use for more than 1 straight hour, or when 50% of the useful life has expired. Question. An emergency locator transmitter battery must be capable of furnishing power for signal transmission for at least, answer, 48 hours. Question. The preferred location of an ELT is, answer, as far aft as possible but forward of the empennage. Question. An emergency locator transmitter is normally activated by an inertial switch or equivalent mechanism if subjected to a force of a prescribed intensity and duration, a crash, or really severe turbulence. It must activate when the force is applied, answer, parallel to the longitudinal axis of the aircraft. Question. How may the battery replacement date be verified for an emergency locator transmitter? Answer: by observing the battery replacement date marked on the outside of the transmitter. This one's a trick question. Note, according to 14 CFR 91.207, those are the three instances, is when by the date marked on the outside of the transmitter, when the transmitter has been in use for more than 1 straight hour, or when 50% of its useful life has expired. Question: how may the operation of an installed emergency locator transmitter be verified during aircraft inspection? Answer: by tuning a communications receiver to the civil emergency frequency and activating the ELT momentarily within 5 minutes after the hour. I repeat, within 5 minutes after the hour. So note, the frequency is 406 megahertz, and you can only test it the 5 minutes after any hour. After that, they're coming for you. Question: static dischargers help eliminate radio interference by dissipating static electricity into the atmosphere at, answer, low current levels. Note, static dischargers are mounted on the trailing edges of aircraft control surfaces to conduct charges of static electricity into the atmosphere before they build up enough voltage to cause a high current to flow and cause radio interference. Question: aircraft antennae must be grounded to, answer, the airframe. Question: VHF, very high frequency radio signals, are commonly used in, answer, both VOR navigation and ATC communication. VOR is very high frequency omni range, and ATC is air traffic control. Note, radio transmissions operated in the 118 to 135.975 megahertz range is the very high frequency, and that's the frequency that's used for ATC. Question: on modern large aircraft, what electric device typically monitors flight parameters and performs autopilot functions? Answer: flight management computer, FMC. Note, the FMC monitors and regulates the movement of the control surface actuators, which controls the stabilizers, elevators, rudders, speed brakes, and spoilers. Question: in the landing configuration GPWS, which is ground proximity warning system, in the landing configuration of that typically monitors the radio radar altimeter, air data computer, instrument landing system, and the, answer, landing gear and flaps position. Question: in general, the purpose of an aircraft transponder is to, answer, receive an interrogation signal from a ground station and automatically send a reply back. Question: when an antenna is installed, it should be fastened to, answer, it should be fastened so the load imposed are transmitted to the aircraft structure. This one's a trick question. Question: after an automatic direction finding antenna has been installed, the, answer, the loop must be calibrated. Note, it is important that the loop antenna be checked for quadrantal error. Quadrantal error is the error caused by metal in an aircraft structure distorting the electromagnetic field of the received signal. Quadrantal error causes azimuth inaccuracies, which are greatest between the 4 cardinal points with respect to the center line of the aircraft. Question. Doublers are used when antennas are installed to answer. Reinstate the structural strength of the aircraft skin. Question. One antenna can be used for the radio range and standard broadcast bands in light aircraft because the answer. 2 ranges are close together. That one's a trick question. Tricky, tricky. Question. What characteristics of the installation of a rigid antenna on a vertical stabilizer should be evaluated? Answer. Flutter and vibration. Question. A gasket or sealant is used between the antenna mast and fuselage skin because answer. To prevent the entry of moisture. Question. The preferred location of a VOR antenna on light aircraft is answer. On top of the cabin with the apex of the V pointing forward. Oh, with the apex of the V pointing forward. So it's like this. Why am I doing this? I'm sorry. Okay. So it's like this, pointing forward towards you. Okay. Question. The purpose of a localizer is to answer. Align the airplane with the center of the runway. ILS stands for Instrument Landing System. Okay, we got a formula. Question. Refer to the figure. What is the approximate drag load on an antenna with a frontal area of 0.125 square feet installed on an aircraft with a speed of 225 miles per hour? Note, the computation is described in AC 4313-2 alpha. Okay. And so your answer is 2.069 pounds. Question. What is the approximate drag load on the antenna with a frontal area of 0.137 square feet on an aircraft with the speed of 275 miles per hour? So the formula is drag is equal to the constant times area times speed squared. Question. A DME antenna should be installed on the aircraft in a position that will answer. Not be blanked out by the wing when the aircraft is banked. So to not be blanked out when the aircraft is banked. Question. When bending coax cables, the bend radius should be at least, answer, less than 10 times its diameter. Less than 10 times its diameter. Question. When installing a DME antenna, it should be aligned with the answer, center line on the airplane. Question. Refer to the figure. Which of the antennas shows a typical DME antenna? Answer. And to show you what each one of these are, this one is a glide slope. This one is a VOR localizer where the V is pointing forward. The apex of the V is pointing forward. And then this one is VHF, very high frequency antenna. In the military, we have one going from the forehead of the aircraft all the way to the tail. That's old school, but yeah. Question, what kind of antenna is this? This one's kind of like a dome. From my experience, we had something like this for SATCOM, but the answer to this one is, this is a loop and sense antenna. So it's the pattern the frequency travels. So it loops and senses. I'm guessing. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Question. Refer to the figure. What is this antenna used for? This one looks like a square cake that you get from the grocery store. Okay, and the answer is, this one is an altitude encoder used to convert the aircraft's pressure altitude into a code sent by the transponder to ATC. So this one might be a trick question. This one's a ceiling mounted box, and it's an altitude encoder used to convert the aircraft's pressure altitude and then sends that by a transponder to ATC. Question, what kind of antenna is this? This is a V-shaped VOR antenna. The shape is part of the answer. So VOR navigation antenna, which is a common dipole antenna. It has 2 poles. Question, what kind of antenna is this? This is a canted or slanted antenna. Question, where is the strongest signal for this antenna? It's one that has a little bent or crook in it. Answer, the signal is strongest at the 90 degrees to the length of the antenna. There is no field generated off of the end of the antenna. Sorry. What kind of antenna is this? This one is a radar beacon transponder antenna. Looks like a little baby shark fin. Don't do the song, please. What kind of antenna is this? This one's an ELT antenna. All right, and then this one is a VOR localizer. See how it has more surface area? Let me show you. So this one's navigation. It's a VOR navigation antenna. And then this one's different because it has more surface area and it's a localizer antenna. Okay. Question, what kind of antenna is this? This one's a lightning detector systems antenna. So this one has 3 holes in it. It looks like it could be semi-hockey puckish, but it's rounded edges in this photo. What kind of antenna is this? And then this one is a marker beacon antenna. Marker beacon. Marker beacon receiver antenna. All right, and then this one is a radar beacon transponder antenna. Radar beacon transponder. So you can ping and transpond at the same time. The shape has to do with its capabilities in this case. And then what kind of antenna is this? This is a VOR glide slope antenna. It's got 2 surfaces on there. And then last but not least, we have a antenna that looks like the old school TV antennas. And then this one's also a VOR glide slope antenna. So the difference between the two is this one is like fins essentially. And then this one's more like a TV antenna. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3 sections left, I believe. Oh, okay, we have 2 sections left, and after that I have the oral and practical. So thank you so much for sticking around. That was the communication and navigation systems, mostly antenna talk and an ELT talk. So we only have 2 sections left and then we're done. Isn't that awesome? All right, enough chit chat. Our next section is going to be aircraft fuel systems. In the meantime, in between times, till next time, I'll see you in the next video.